Good morning. The TUC slammed on its parade pull-out. Minister Pia Glover-Roll defends the government's record on labor issues. The U.S. student visa interviews paused. And the SpaceX Starship rocket explodes again. But not over the Bahamas. We'll tell you more. That's all straight ahead this morning. I'm Dwight Strachan, and this is Morning Blend.
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day. It's the start of a new way. Don't you know that it's the start of the end of the old way. Wake up, it's a new day.
Good morning again, Bahamas. It is Wednesday, May 28th, 2025. This is Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. Again, I'm Dwight Strachan. In a moment, Laverne Gardner will be here, filling in for Chester Robards. Also, today we're going to be talking about the upcoming Primary School Student of the Year awards, what we need to know before the big event over the weekend. And later in business, it's our monthly series with NIB. We're talking about occupational health and safety today. That's all ahead, but first, it's time for the overnight, the latest breaking news from while you're sleeping, and the top national and international headlines this morning. In the overnight, tensions between the Trade Union Congress and the Davis administration mounting ahead of Labor Day next week, with Minister of Labor and Public Service Pia Glover-Roll excoriating the TUC over its decision to pull out of the Labor Day parade. Glover-Roll also accused the TUC leadership of being misleading in the narrative being set out on issues impacting workers. Glover-Roll saying, quote, "The decision by the Trade Union Congress to withdraw from the Labor Day parade and the narrative they've chosen to build around it is disappointing, misleading, and not reflective of the truth that workers in this country deserve." As you may recall, a day earlier, TUC President Obie Ferguson announced the decision to opt out of the parade, saying the umbrella union does not support the PLP using the day to launch its re-election campaign. Ferguson said Labor Day has historically been a day exclusively for workers, but that has now been misconstrued. Glover-Roll said the Davis administration prioritized labor issues from day one because it believes in the dignity of work and the rights of working people. She insisted that the administration has made substantial progress on its labor agenda. Meanwhile, other umbrella unions are gearing up for the parade, the annual parade set for next week, Friday, June 6th. The two other umbrella unions are gearing up for it. Dwayne Woods, who heads the NCTUB, and Belinda Wilson, who heads the BNA-TUC, both confirming their affiliates will participate in the parade. Meanwhile, TUC President Obie Ferguson rejecting an assertion from the PLP that he was only made a KC, a King's Counsel, because of the Memorandum of Understanding that the TUC signed with the party in 2021. Monday, Ferguson said that the TUC will not take part in the labor parade, but the PLP didn't. The PLP said the, quote, "pretext for the boycott is that the Memorandum of Understanding signed between the organization and the PLP has not been fulfilled. This assertion is false, and the truth to the contrary is easily verifiable." Ferguson has, at the very least, personally benefited from the MOU. He was named a King's Counsel as a result of the MOU. Ferguson rejecting that assertion, saying he was made KC because, saying he wasn't made KC because of that, saying, quote, "I don't know how that's possible. I was King's Counsel. I went to the Privy Council. I represented the Bahamian people. I went to the Privy Council twice, and I won the case there twice." Investigations continue into what happened in Acklands. Commissioner of Police Shanton Knoll says human remains found in Masons Bay after a man was reported missing by his family has resulted in two relatives believed to be related to the victim in custody, assisting police with the investigation. The commissioner says the family filed a missing persons report around noon on Monday. She says the officers are in the process of investigating the incident and that they confirmed that they unearthed human remains, and they're still investigating this active case. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has ordered U.S. embassies around the world to stop scheduling new student visa appointments as it prepares to expand social media screenings of foreign students. The plans were detailed in a cable signed by Rubio and reported by U.S. news outlets all over. This statement saying that effective immediately in preparation for an expansion of required social media screening and vetting, consular sections should not add any additional student or exchange visitor, that's F, M, or J visa appointment capacity, until further guidance. That move will impact thousands of Bahamian students who've been accepted to study in the U.S. And a Supreme Court judge sentencing a man to 5 years in prison after he admitted to pointing a loaded gun at a man outside a popular nightclub. Before any witnesses were called in his trial before Justice Joyanne Ferguson, Nathan Rowe pleaded guilty to possession of a firearm with intent to put another in fear, on September 11, 2023, while at Primetime Lounge on St. Albans Drive. Rowe pulled a pistol with 10 live rounds of ammunition on Michael Solomon. The incident was captured on the club's surveillance footage. A policeman arrested Rowe and recovered the firearm. As part of the plea bargain, Rowe was sentenced to 5 years in prison. After back-to-back explosions, SpaceX launching its mega rocket Starship again Tuesday evening, but fell short of the main objectives when the spacecraft tumbled out of control and broke apart. The 403-foot rocket blasted off on its 9th demo from Starbase, SpaceX's launch site at the southern tip of Texas. Residents voted this month to organize as an official city. Well, CEO Elon Musk's SpaceX hoped to release a series of mock satellites following liftoff, but that got nixed before the door failed to open all the way. Then the spacecraft began spinning as it skimmed space towards an uncontrolled landing in the Indian Ocean. SpaceX later confirmed that the spacecraft experienced a rapid, unscheduled disassembly and burst apart. The statement says that teams will continue to review data and work towards their next test flight. Musk noted in a post on X, formerly Twitter, that it was a big improvement from the 2 previous demos, which ended in flaming debris over the Atlantic Ocean. Despite the latest setback, he promised pace moving forward, with the Starship soaring every 3 to 4 weeks for the next 3 flights. And at least one Palestinian killed and 48 others wounded when a crowd was fired upon while overrunning a new aid distribution site in the Gaza Strip, set up by an Israeli and U.S.-backed foundation. Crowds of Palestinians Tuesday broke through fences around the distribution site where thousands had amassed. An Associated Press journalist heard Israeli tank and gunfire and saw a military helicopter firing flares. It was not yet known whether the death and injuries were caused by Israeli forces, private contractors, or others. In sports, the inaugural New Providence Junior High School Soccer Championships kicking off at the Roscoe A.L. Davies Soccer Fields. A quarter of junior soccer teams clinching spots in today's finals in their respective matchups. The St. Andrews Hurricanes junior girls sent the D.W. Davis Royals packing, winning 3-0, and will now take on the Windsor School who are the BAISS Junior Girls Champions. That's going to be in the championship game. Windsor punched their ticket to the final via a walkover as the H.O. Nash Lions, the GSSA Junior Girls Champions, forfeited their matchup due to external examinations. Meanwhile, the Antal Rogers Timberwolves Junior Boys, the GSSA champions, defeated the St. Andrews Junior Boys 4-2 in a tightly contested battle between the Lyford Key International School Dragons and the S.E. McPherson Sharks. In the other semifinal matchup, the Dragons prevailing 3-1 at the final whistle. The teams will have a quick turnaround as the girls and boys finals will be played today, starting at 4:30 p.m. From the NBA, Tyrese Halliburton finishing with 32 points, 15 assists, and 12 turnover in an historic postseason performance to lead the Indiana Pacers past the New York Knicks 130-121 Tuesday night for a 3-1 lead in the Eastern Conference Finals. With his father, John, back in Gainbridge Fieldhouse, Halliburton became the first player with such a stat line in the postseason since turnovers were first tracked in 1977-78. And he carried the Pacers within a victory of their second trip to the NBA Finals. Nikola Jokic and Oscar Robertson are the only other players to post 30 points, 15 assists, and 10 rebounds in a playoff game. Game 5 is Thursday in New York, and a must-win for the Knicks. That's sports, and that's the overnight. Time for your first look at weather. In your weather for today, brought to you by Guardian Media Group's cruise giveaway promotion. We've got a moderate ridge of high pressure that's going to be the dominant weather feature across the country, bringing stable and dry conditions with hot and humid temperatures and feeling today. So the stable weather will continue for the next few days despite the occasional stray shower or afternoon thunderstorm. That ridge is going to gradually weaken, though, by the end of the week as a prefrontal trough will approach the northern islands by late Friday. Meanwhile, a mid to upper level trough will drive streaming tropical moisture across the central and southeastern Bahamas. That combination will significantly elevate the chance for showers and thunderstorms over the weekend while supporting cloudier skies. So again, the heat indices and the UV indices will be high. The feel-like temperatures going to be in the mid to upper 90s, and the indices, the UV indices, is going to be in the very high range. So hydrate, limit outdoor activities, wear protective clothing, sunscreen, sunglasses, all those things today and for the next few days. The forecast for today, partly sunny, hot, and humid, turning mostly fair and warm tonight for the northern and northwest Bahamas, and a bit breezy for the southeastern Bahamas. About a 20% chance of isolated showers or afternoon thunderstorms. Wind southeast to south at 10 to 15 knots for the extreme northern islands. East-southeast to east-south to south-southeast at 10 to 15 knots with higher gusts for the central and northwest Bahamas. And easterly at 15 to 20 knots for the southeastern islands. Temperatures today, highs around 91 Fahrenheit, 33 Celsius, 100 degrees or 38 Celsius. Overnight lows tonight getting down to about 78, 79 Fahrenheit, 26 Celsius. That's your first look at weather this morning. We'll have an extended outlook coming up in just a bit. This weather check brought to you by the Guardian Media Group cruise giveaway promotion. Guardian Media Group and Going Places Travel want to take you on a 7-day cruise for 4 to Panama, Colombia, Curacao, and Aruba on Royal Caribbean's Serenade of the Seas, and no visa required. There are 4 ways to enter, including listening to Guardian Radio and getting the Nassau Guardian, and a whole lot more. You can find out about it in the papers today. Entry deadline is June 27th. The drawing is on July 4th. Certain conditions apply. Airfare, taxes, and gratuities not included.
Wake up, it's a new day.
It is time for a break, but when we come back, we're discussing the day's top stories right here on Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9, your home for fresh news and smart talk all day.
You know that it's the start of the end of the old way. Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day.
Tired Tired of banks forcing you to use technology to bank the way they want you to? Your convenience is important. So no matter what your banking needs, Commonwealth Bank's friendly staff are always available in branch for that personal one-on-one service. But when you choose technology, our online and mobile banking app offers you state-of-the-art functionality. The choice is yours. Commonwealth Bank. Bank the way you want.
Screws and Fasteners World, Balfour Avenue and Palm Beach Street, has those hard-to-find fasteners for you right now. You can find stainless steel regular hex, carriage bolts, galvanized bolts, threaded rods, nails, self-tap screws, sex bolts, anchor bolts, turnbuckles, masonry tools, hand tools, and weed whacker strings. Check out the rope selection and car body fasteners, too. Special orders are welcome. It's your #1 fastener store. Screws and Fasteners World, Balfour Avenue and Palm Beach Streets. Call 326-1976.
The 2025 Samuel P. Haven High School Soccer Nationals are here. May 15th through 16th in Grand Bahama. May 21st to 30th in Nassau at the Roscoe A.L. Davies Field. Top teams from Nassau the Crown, the Duncan Girls, and J.S. Johnson Boys Division. Calling all junior Junction groups. Come out, bring the vibes, and rep your school. Inclusive matches, music, food, and family fun daily. Gates open at 3 p.m. Visit bahamasfa.net. Be there.
Saturday, May 31st will be hype because the Free National Movement and Nassau Top DJs are taking over. R.M. Bailey Park, Robinson Road, with the F&M Annual Fair and Raffle. Bring the whole crew. That's family, friends, and even your pets. There will be cooked and grilled food. Music by the Infinity Band, featuring Novi Pierre, plus the Pope of DJs. Tank, Select the Zone, featuring DJ Whopper, DJ Cannon, DJ T-Mac, and DJ Ace of Spades to keep the party going all day long.
It's yours truly, Select the Zone. Catch me live at the F&M Fair. It's going to be fun, pretty great fun activities. Also, some lucky winner is going to walk away with a grand prize drawing. You heard it from Select the Zone. I'm fully endorsing the message. You'll catch us live. You'll come out, and some lucky winner is going to win big with the F&M.
Get your tickets from the F&M headquarters on Mackey Street or any F&M party member.
It's your boy DJ Tank, the Pope of DJ Affairs. Come meet me and Nassau's top DJs. Saturday, May 31st, R.M. Bailey Park, Robinson Road. The vibes are free, the food is hot, and the cash is real. Big money, 10,000.
Unstoppable together.
You try to rest, but roll with the best. For all your printing needs, there ain't no one better, no. For posters and banners, magazines and flyers. For window decals, greeting cards and newsletters. No job too big and there's no job too small. You name it, we can print it. Just give us a call. Let Print Masters bring your masterpiece to life.
Located in the Nassau Guardian Building, telephone 302-2361.
Been off the WSC grid for over a year? Now's the time to come back and save big. For a limited time only, the Water and Sewage Corporation is offering up to 50% off reconnection fees for customers discount 1 year. Don't miss this chance to reconnect and enjoy reliable, quality water service at a discounted rate. Call 302-5599 to learn more. Water and Sewage Corporation, dedicated to dependable, affordable water solutions.
Now let me see now. 326 EPIC. Hello? This Epic Eckert battery. This Miss Beulah from round the corner. I hear you're selling tires now on Wolf Road too.
Praise the Lord. It's about time. I live Fox Hill and Fire Trail. It's too far.
That ain't all. They open Monday to Friday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. On Sunday and holiday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m.
My brother Sam, he's a hacker, and he could go right there and get fixed up.
Call us at 326 EPIC. We ship also to the Family Island.
Do you have uncontrollable debt? Are you ready to make that move to Fidelity for a stress-free future? These loans have a built-in savings plan that pays you unbeatable interest. Ask about our debt consolidation loans today. Call 356-7764.
Fidelity, we're good for you.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, streaming on GuardianRadio.com and the Guardian Radio app, Nassau, Bahamas.
Wake up, it's a new day.
And we're back with Morning Blend on Guardian. Joining me now, Laverne Gardner. Laverne, good morning.
Good morning, Dwight. How are you?
Doing well, doing well. Great to have you with us on a Wednesday. Chester's going to be with us tomorrow, but always a pleasure to talk with you no matter what day it is.
It's good to be here, and good morning to all of our listeners on a Wednesday.
Hey, got a lot to talk about, a lot going on, a lot in the papers today, but also we're going to be getting a preview of this weekend's Primary School Student of the Year competition, and always a great time there, and hopefully we'll get to meet the winner on Monday morning. We'll get a preview of it today. Then later in business, it's our monthly series with NIB. Today we're talking about occupational health and safety. They have an occupational health and safety unit. We'll get details about that. There's a lot to break down there. So that's all ahead. But right now, let's get into what's in the news. And in the news, it's a big day, a big news day. It's the budget communication today, and we're going to carry that live here on Guardian Radio. You can listen to it. So a lot of folks will be paying attention to that. But there is a lot happening this week. The TUC being called out on this decision to not take part in the Labor Day parade next week. Minister of Labor and Public Service Pia Glover responding to a lot of the claims and the criticism coming from the TUC over the past few days. We're going to get to that in just a bit. And, of course, U.S. student visa interviews paused. A lot of people concerned and talking about that. We'll get to that in just a moment. But yesterday we told you about that another SpaceX launch was set for last night. And it certainly didn't explode over the Bahamas, but it exploded nonetheless. The Associated Press reporting that after back-to-back explosions, SpaceX launched its mega rocket Starship again on Tuesday evening, but it fell short of the main objectives when the spacecraft tumbled out of control and broke apart. This is deja vu, eh? The 403-foot rocket blasted off on its 9th demo from Starbase in Texas. And CEO Elon Musk's SpaceX hoped to release a series of mock satellites following liftoff, but that got nixed because the door failed to open all the way. Then the spacecraft began spinning as it skimmed space towards an uncontrolled landing in the Indian Ocean. SpaceX later confirmed that the spacecraft has experienced a rapid, unscheduled, or burst apart, and that teams will continue to review data and work towards the next flight test. Musk noting on X that it was a big improvement, those were his words, but despite the setback, he promised a faster launch pace moving forward, with the Starship soaring every 3 to 4 weeks for the next 3 flights. My goodness gracious. Okay. Well, this was the first time one of Musk's Starships intended for Moon and Mars travel flew with a recycled booster. There were no plans to catch the booster with giant chopsticks back on a launch pad, with the company instead pushing it to its limits. Contact with the booster was lost at one point, and it slammed into the Gulf of Mexico in pieces as the spacecraft continued towards the Indian Ocean. It slammed into the Gulf of Mexico? What? That's too close for comfort. Then the spacecraft went out of control, and apparently due to fuel leaks. Okay. And yet they're going to do more over the next 3 to 4 weeks. How do you feel about that?
That was that part right there. They're going to do several more. And so debris and everything and the parts will land next.
Wow, this is wild. And so much money that's being invested in this. You know, hey, I mean, it's cool to want to go to the moon and Mars, but... And I know there's going to be lots of... the same thing happened with airplanes in the beginning, lots of trial and error. But this just feels wasteful. With all the issues we're seeing here on this planet, I don't know. Let's get your reaction really quickly. You don't want to spend too much time on this, but let's get your reaction to this really quickly. 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259. Call us toll free, 242-300-5720. Tweet us. Facebook us, text us, 422-4796. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
With you.
Hi, good morning.
There is something must do. I think he should look internally. Maybe someone really don't like him, particularly his behavior as it relates to the Doge situation, just trying to just dismantle the whole system. I think it's sabotage.
No, man.
You don't think so?
Nah, it's just this is very innovative, groundbreaking. It's a lot. It's not going to be easy to just get up and fly to Mars. So there will be lots of these type things, but it's scary that it's not confined to the launch area. It's the testing it over all of us, and that things are exploding over people and where they live. That's scary.
Well, he has the money. Perhaps he should just move all of that down to South Africa or Australia somewhere.
Why would they want that?
Why do we want it over here?
Okay.
Okay.
All
right.
Well, I thought you were going to say just move it to Mars and test over there. But,
yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, right.
Thanks, Dwight.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks a lot. All right. This text just says here, no, this is not about this at all. All right. So we'll continue to keep you posted. Again, this is not related to the Falcon 9 rockets that we have to deal with, and a much simpler process there as they're used to launch satellites, Starlink satellites in the air. Not what this one, not what Starship is up to. Very different. So, wow.
Should we be comforted by that somehow, Dwight?
Yeah, maybe. They haven't had any of these type issues with Falcon 9. So perhaps. Okay. Anyway, this got people very worked up yesterday. U.S. student visa interviews paused. Yeah? So here's what's going on. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has ordered U.S. embassies around the world, including the Bahamas, to stop scheduling new student visa appointments. Stop. As it prepares to expand social media screenings of foreign students. The plans are detailed in a cable signed by Rubio, and this was widely reported all over the world. So the statement says that effective immediately in preparation for an expansion of required social media screening and vetting, consular sections should not add any additional student or exchange visitor visa appointments. That's the F, M, and J guidance. And which we anticipate will be in the coming days. So that move, of course, is going to impact thousands of Bahamian students who have already been accepted to study in U.S. schools.
Absolutely.
U.S. Department of State spokesperson Tammy Bruce told reporters that the U.S. will continue to vet visitors to the country. So we want to play a clip from U.S. Secretary of State Tammy Bruce taking questions from reporters on all of this. Take a listen. Take a listen to this. And I wanted to expand it, but we don't have enough time for it. She was asked about King Charles being in Canada, speaking, assuring Canada that they must remain sovereign and despite all the threats around them. What is this world that we're in 2025? But anyway, let's get to the U.S. visas, what Tammy Bruce is saying. And that you can listen to the question in this clip as well.
Of Prince William, they're a great family. That's it. Yes, John, go ahead.
If you mind, let me go back to the student visa issue. Leaving aside the issue of the cable, the Secretary himself has said that the vast majority of students in the country, of foreign students, have done nothing wrong. They shouldn't be worried about their visas. They're welcome to study at American universities. People going to universities this fall, foreign students, should they be concerned that their visas won't be processed in time? Do you think that there's the State Department confident that people can still attend autumn semesters?
Well, this is every dynamic, and again, we don't speak about individual visa cases. We don't speak about the nature of the choices made about individuals. We do know, though, that we take very seriously the process of vetting who it is that comes into the country. And we're going to continue to do that. We're going to continue to vet, and we continue to have an interest. Again, whether they be student or if you're a tourist who needs a visa or whoever you are, we're going to be looking at you. I think why that it seems to be such a controversial thing that's going on, but it shouldn't be. And every nation should take seriously and does who's coming in. So if you're going to be applying, follow the normal process, the normal steps. Expect to be looked at, and we go on from there.
And processing delays, do you expect students applying now to
again, I can't speak to their individual experiences, but of course, it seems like the nature of the reaction to this is that but I can't. We've always vetted people trying to come in. We've always looked at visas seriously. It's why we have a visa, so that you can stop and look at someone. So I can't speak about what the individual experience will be, but the fact is that everyone knows that it's a reminder, certainly, that we're taking it seriously. Yes, go ahead, certainly.
And you just said it. There is a vetting process for anybody who's coming in the country, but what is different now? Is there a new criteria, a new mechanism? What's different?
Well, yes, we in addition to not discussing, for privacy reasons and a whole host of other reasons, discussing individual visa processes with an individual, but we also don't talk about the methods. We're not going to lay out here with the media the nature of the steps that are taken, the methods that we use. That would seem to be a little bit counterproductive, perhaps. But it is a goal, as stated by the President and Secretary Rubio, to make sure that people who are here and understand what the law is, that they don't having to be contributors to the experience here, however short or long their stay is. And so the details of which I won't reveal, but it's one that will hopefully achieve our understanding of who deserves to visit this country and who does not.
Okay, well, there you have it.
Yeah.
My goodness. That's Tammy Bruce, U.S. Department of State. Tammy Bruce. Laverne, yeah?
Yeah, I think she did her best to make it sound as if what's happening is very normal and, they're just doing their due diligence and scrutinizing. But I think that for all of us, we understand that this just isn't the norm, because they've done all of these scrutinies and they've always made sure and look at who has whatever kind of background, who's coming into the country. The interview process, as some Bahamians would tell you in the past, getting their visa to study there has been a rigorous one. It's been a difficult one at times for some, for others not so much. So we recognize that, but we also recognize now that you're doing additional, this is more. Whether she kept cutting for, you know that this is more than before. And if it was just the norm, the run of the mill, this is just us doing our job that we've always done, then Marco Rubio would not have to send out a message to all embassies to cease interviews for right now.
Yeah.
And so what that says to me is, if you haven't already, one, if you've already sent a deposit to a school in the U.S., check the refund policy and see where you stand. Two, consider other options. Consider other options.
As in other countries.
And I think that as just in general for us, that is what we need to be doing. If there is no opportunity for you to study at home because perhaps the field that you're going into is just simply not offered, whatever your reason is, then I think that it would be wise, even though for those already getting ready to graduate, it may be, you feel like it's too late. what you have to do now is pivot. It does
Well-
not make sense to keep talking about this, and I can't believe this. And because, as I've always said to you, they are going to do what they believe is in the best interest
Yeah.
of their country, whether we agree, whether we think it's right or not. And so we have to pivot. We, our students and parents, have to look at other countries where you can get a degree that is recognized
Well-
and move on.
Well, there might be a third option. You could just potentially watch your social media and not have anything to say about what's going on in their country.
Absolutely.
And
You
be
can
commenting on
do
every
that.
single thing that has
sure.
nothing to do with
Absolutely.
you. Right? So
You
that is
should
an
watch
option.
your social media posts, what you put out there in any event.
Yeah.
Not even because of threat of U.S. scrutiny, but understand that these posts follow you.
Yeah.
And so you should exercise caution in what you do.
Absolutely.
But that set apart, see, Dwight, the thing is, you don't know the criteria.
That's true.
You don't know what it is that they are looking for or not looking for. And so I'm not saying to be reckless in your post. What I'm saying is because you don't know, you are going up against an unseen thing
Yeah.
that you were not aware of.
It could be quite
Be
arbitrary.
wise with Be wise with your posts and what you put out on social media and what you say, but also look at other options out there for you.
Yeah.
And begin to apply to schools that are outside of the United States and take advantage of maybe study opportunities. We see them advertised all the time, right?
Yeah.
These study opportunities in different countries, and that's okay. I know America's right there, it's close, and whatever. But
Well, a lot of the
this
other
is-
places are
this
more
is
affordable
our-
in any event.
Right.
Okay.
This is our reality right now, and so I think that is what the focus needs to be.
Well, this is her business. Erica Morris, she's with Legacy College Readiness and Tours. She's been on the show a number of times to get students prepared to go off to school, often in the U.S. So I'm sure hearing this yesterday must have freaked her out, but she's joining us. Morris, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Doing well, doing well.
Good morning.
Good morning, Erica.
All right. So what's going through your mind, and what are you telling the students who you are advising all the time?
Okay. I sent out a mass email yesterday to all of the students that I'm helping, students that I've helped who decided to go, other places, to let them know, listen, shut those social medias down, untag yourselves in a lot of those posts. And even if you're unable to do that, maybe change your names or whatever. Because when you read what was sent out, they're really looking at social media pages. Are you saying anything disparaging against the United States? And I'm just going to be honest with you, because I spoke with at least 7 of the colleges that I work with yesterday. And all of them are like, we don't know. We're just hearing the same thing. And I think these are just actions that they're making and not understanding the consequences behind them. Okay? And yes, me out yesterday, but I'll be honest, it will, getting the visas may be a little bit delayed, but I really don't think that we're the target. I think we're in the vortex of the punishment for other people. Okay? Meaning our visas, the visa process may take a little longer. It doesn't say that they're going to deny. That's big business for a lot of schools in the United States. You have some schools in the United States that thrive off of international students. Okay? So why they're doing this exactly, I don't know. And then we think about, just like your guest said, Laverne said, think of other countries. I agree. I've always tried to push some of my students towards, I have schools in France. Hey, do that. It's much inexpensive, but of course, it's so far, X, Y, and Z. However, when you look at Canada, I have a lot of students that want to go to Canada, but Canada's having their own issues with international students. they are lessening the amount of international students that they can hold because they have no place to keep them.
Wow.
Okay, so they just don't have it. The United gives more international funding, but how long is that going to last? And it's just like, what do? You sit back every day and you wait to see what it is that he's going to do. So I'm waiting. All of my schools, I've emailed them and say, hey, just keep me abreast of anything that you've heard, what your school is going to do to pivot that, all of that. So it did kind of freak me out yesterday. But I'm okay. I'm assured, and especially with Marco Rubio, who lives in Florida and who understands, okay, and especially South Florida, okay, the amount of international students just from the Caribbean that comes there.
Yeah.
So I guess this is just a sit back and wait type thing.
You said something.
What you put on your social media.
Right, you said something, and Laverne mentioned it. Sometimes these things will follow you. You can try to delete it, but people can pull up things you said or liked from many, many, many years ago. What do you do in situations like that?
I just hope they don't find it. You know, do you change your name? Do you just delete it? Or I don't know. That was my suggestion, because nothing you put on the internet is ever, gone 100%. But now, that's what I advised my kids to do.
Yeah.
Untag yourself in these things. Watch what you put on there. And if you have to delete it, because what is going to happen, this is what I think that they're going to do. They want to put mechanisms in place, so now it will be a requirement, because it's not required now. They'll ask you for your social media, but now this will be a requirement for you to put your social media on there when you're doing your visa, so that they can look into it. I think that they're putting mechanisms in place right now, because everything that Laverne is saying is the truth, but the United States of America knows what you have done, and especially if you're going through there legally, they know what you've done if you've done something in the United States or even in the Bahamas.
Yeah.
They know if you have a criminal record. Trust me. They
Interesting
know.
stuff. I'm sure we're going to be hearing more from you in the as we get closer to the time when people leave to go off to school. We'll see how that goes. But Erica Morris, thank you so much for talking with us this morning. Erica Morris with Legacy College Readiness and Tours. Thanks a lot. Wow.
Erica, Dwight, Erica said something again as well when she said, they're going to be looking at maybe disparaging, I think it was Erica or maybe you, can't remember, disparaging remarks that maybe you're tagged in or that you may have said against the U.S. I want to say it may not just be that. The focus may be to see any disparaging remarks that you made or you were tagged in that you made about Donald Trump specifically.
It could be a lot of things. Trump, it
Right.
could be about
It could be a
communism,
lot of things, and we don't know.
Israel,
And that's
Palestine.
the thing. We don't
right.
know.
Yeah.
And so that's why, like I said, yes, I push you should be posting responsibly anyway,
Yeah.
right?
And don't get into arguments that have nothing to do with you.
Right. You should be posting responsibly anyway, but I'm saying to all of our college hopefuls, all of our students and their parents, as some places are far, and you think about far, but there are universities all over this big world that offer a quality education, and we need to begin to dive more deeper into those places and spaces.
Yeah. Okay. Got a whole lot of text messages on this, but the calls are coming in as well. I want to hear what you have to say about this, folks. This is quite something. And 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259. Calls toll free, 242-300-5720. Have they started saying this for visitor visas yet? Have they started saying... I think they already started saying that, right? That they will your social media.
I'm sure all of that is included already.
Boy. All right, let's hear from you, caller. Good morning. You're on the air.
Very pleasant. Good morning, Dwight.
Hi, good morning.
And good morning, Laverne.
Good morning.
Laverne, I think your points are very valid with some of the considerations. But unlike we get taught here, my own personal assessment, to remember things, not necessarily learn. Like the foundation of America's democratic experiment is liberty and freedom. While with this new administration, it appears that there's a bigger light being shined on what that means exactly. It sounds like we're telling to not be critical in their thinking, that they must conform or shouldn't have opinions on the happenings of the world. Then what's the point? College isn't just about textbooks and science or whatever discipline that you decide to undertake. It isn't, and it sounds like something different to just so easily say you conform to and forget what it is your opinions are on things that may be happening around the world.
No, I think I don't think that's what we're saying, and I don't think that's what people. But if you are in somebody else's country at their, their invitation,
Mercy?
at their mercy too, you might need to be careful. This is the same thing we tell people about going to China, right? You don't want to go in there talking about how democracy needs to rule,
or to the Middle East and
right.
Be ignorant and not inform yourself of their customs.
But before you go on, there's one thing that bothers me, because a lot of these kids will go over there and start protesting and doing all manner of things and talking about what's wrong, but they have never said anything about the issues in the...
You think Bahamians can go over there protesting and we ain't doing it here?
They've done it. It's happened. And they don't do it here. Exactly. That's my point. They don't say anything about what's going on wrong in this country, but they go over to school in the States and all of a sudden they're joining
They lose their minds.
Right.
I have one
What's
question
that
for
about?
you. Can I leave you with one thing?
Sure.
Do you think now King Charles of the Commonwealth,
I can stop you right
King
there.
of the Bahamas, might take a look at some of the agencies in the UK, make the process a little easier for his loyal subjects?
What do you think?
Just a question. I mean, something for consideration, right?
I'm glad you put it out there. Maybe we'll send in the clip. Let's take another call. Good morning, caller. You're on the air. Hi, good morning. Good morning, caller. You're live on the air.
Good morning, Dwight. Good morning to you guys.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Dwight, we here worrying about the U.S. and all this and all that. We had 58 years of PLP and FNM rule in this country, and still the UB doesn't have the capacity to educate our own students. You see, when we sit down and look at other countries, first we have to clean up our doorstep. If the powers to be...
That's a real... I mean, what do you mean by that? How could they possibly take everybody on? That doesn't... And you can't blame the politics for that. Come on now. What you have all these high schools, you expect everybody to go to one college? That's not how that works. Now...
Don't they have a college in Freeport? We have make the capacity for these things. What I'm saying is, we have to look at ourselves and stop worrying about other countries. The U.S. The other country is going to do what's best for them. We as Bahamian have to do what's best for us.
Okay.
Because I have heard so much things with the UB. I had a son who went there, and it was a disaster going to that place. That's why Bahamian students are choosing to go away to school. That place is just like...
Okay, everything you're saying is oh my gosh. Okay, we got to stop you. And it's...
I know that they're like any university, I'm sure that UB has its issues, but that's not the prevailing reason why students are choosing to go out of country to universities.
And the disaster thing, before we go on the road, that's not a universal experience. I was at COB and had a fantastic time, did it in 2 years, and wonderful experience prepared me for when I did go off to the U.S. So, I mean, you'll hear as many horror stories as success stories.
Some students do not want to study home. They want to go abroad and whatever experience they believe is out there for them. Or the major is not available. And the major not being available isn't necessarily an indictment against UB. It could be a situation where there hasn't been enough interest to bring that on, that particular major on, right? So you go somewhere where there's a larger pool to pull from, and there are more opportunities. So I mean, I'm not saying UB is perfect. No university is perfect, and I'm saying this as a person that did not attend UB. But I'm also saying that we cannot like lay everything like these broad sweeping
No, that's
statements.
insane.
UB is a disaster, failing or whatever. That's unfair to UB.
Invite the caller, since he thinks we should have nothing but, well, yeah, to find your moneyed friends and start a private university, so we could get everybody, we could have more. Absolutely. I don't know if you expect the government to do all these things, but yeah. So then, when you start pointing the fingers, nah, that doesn't even make sense. Let's take another call. Good morning. You're on the air.
Hey, good morning, Dwight. Good morning, LaFern.
Good morning.
Good morning.
You know, the last caller, he is not, I don't think he's thinking deep enough, because if you look at it, America has 50 states, and most of those states have at least 2 colleges or more in them. And you have some colleges that specialty lies in particular areas, in particular fields where persons would want to study. They make that, you understand me, like Harvard, is known for law. You have like Andrews is known for doctors and nurses and stuff. So you have a lot of colleges that specify the
State-run and private.
Thank you.
So
we have one college, it's only so much subjects that we can teach in that one college. Mm-hmm. Yes, we have other branches of that in Grand Bahama, and I think maybe another island, but that's about it. So the field isn't wide enough. But I would say that from what I've heard of recent, they can look into Africa. Africa is expanding. I've heard a report where Harvard is either looking into opening a second line or another college there in Africa somewhere. So look into Africa. Africa's big. They have colleges also. They have good colleges too. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So use your mind. Think out of the box. Don't look at America for now, because I ain't looking to go there no time soon. Not in the near future as of what's going on.
Oh, boy.
It starts with one person. It starts with one person or one set of people. It will eventually turn over into the other. So I don't care how they fix it. They can eventually get where it's not supposed to be.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it. Let's get back to the calls after these couple of text messages. The person says, can we please teach our children that not going to a U.S. school is not the end of the world? There are other options, including UB.
Yeah.
Sure, but as Laverne said, you might not get to what you want to do, and so that's a thing. But I don't even know if that is that a thing where people are still thinking if you didn't go to the U.S. No, I think that ship sailed a long time ago.
I just think that there's a whole big world out there, and Dwight, there are people traveling from all over into other countries who it's far for them. I knew some kids that when my daughter went to university in Canada, that they couldn't go home. It was so far that they could only go home like once a year. So when they had a break at school, they, the school closes, there's no one going to be on campus, but for them to travel back to where they were originally from, it was so costly and the distance was so far. It's like they ended up staying with like other families because it was only like a week break. You know what I mean?
And most of those kids picked that just like that.
Well, whether they wanted it or not, what I'm saying is we think, it's so far, but there are other children who are doing it, and your kid may be able to do it too. If not, if what they want to do is available online at an accredited university, then perhaps consider online. So colleges in the U.S., universities in the U.S. who may be impacted by this online program, they may see how best they can offer certain scholarships or whatever for these students to maybe study online. That may also be another option based on the discipline,
Okay.
right?
Let's take these calls
So-
really quickly before we have to go to the news. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Yeah, good morning, Dwight.
Hi.
And good morning, Laverne.
Grammy boy.
Grammy boy, GNN. Yeah, listen, it's very simple. Laverne is hitting on it, but she needs to drive it totally home. It doesn't matter, like Grammy say, it doesn't matter where you go in the world. You have your manners and respect will get you to the world. And Grammy always say, when you're in Rome, you do as the Romans do. Just watch what you do when you go in these people, whichever country you land in, behave yourself, do your work, and conform to the rules and regulations. Thanks for taking my call.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Getting a good. Well, we should have asked Eric about that. So getting a good reminder that for a lot of people to pivot now to another country. I mean, the deadlines have gone, so I guess you might have to defer till the spring if you've decided, like, you know what, maybe I shouldn't do the U.S. But that's going to be disruptive in another way, right? That's pretty tough. Pretty tough there. Maybe even a whole year you might have to wait. Let's take this call. Good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Dwight. Good morning, Laverne.
Hi.
I can say that it is truly wonderful when you could select a topic, and that topic can then spur other subtopics that have to deal with the principal topics that you're discussing. Upon listening to what's happening here, a thought came to mind that perhaps maybe we need to encourage our students who are excelling in other parts of the U.S., for instance, to come back home, bring their specialty here, let all of them who specialize in the different fields come together under one umbrella and form a college or a university, which will then help a lot of our students here with not having to worry about transitioning to the United States, Canada, or whatever. I'm not saying that this is the end-all, be-all, but at least it is a start in the right direction where we can then encourage our people to come back home in particular.
I mean, Jeff, that sounds really nice, but no matter what, the headaches that they would get to come back here to try to do something like that in this country would not be worth it, and you know that.
Yeah,
you know that.
Yeah.
They might as well. They could.
I know that.
Stay right there with Trump.
Quite well.
Still be easier, an easier ride for you.
But I'll close on this one point. I mean, like I said, it is a spur in the right direction. Perhaps we may have people thinking like that, but yes, we know about the politics in this country and how things and the red tape and all that stuff. But I think now is about time that we begin to think out of the box. There are some people here that want to do specialized courses into other areas that does not have a true application here. But I think, like I said before on another program, I think outside the box and begin to attract these people to come here to start the industry.
They would have been here. They would have been here. Sadly, I hear you. That sounds wonderful. They would have been here if they could see a path. And so we have to work on that. There's a lot of Bahamian talent all over the world, eh? We got a whole lot of your text messages and a lot of your calls and a lot more to talk about on this Wednesday morning. This is Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. We're back after the news.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
Welcome back to Morning Blend here on Guardian Radio 96.9. We are streaming live on GuardianTalkRadio.com and on the Guardian Radio app for smart devices. We're also on your televisions on Cable Bahamas Channel 969 and BTC Flow Channel 612. You can tweet us at morningblend969 or facebook.com/morningblend969. Text us on the Guardian Radio text line powered by BTC 422-4796. Standard text rates apply. Once again, I'm Dwight Strachan with Laverne Gardner, and at 8:29 it's time for another check of your weather for today, brought to you by Star General Insurance, made simple. So we've got a moderate ridge of high pressure that is the dominant weather feature across the country today. That's producing mainly stable and dry conditions, but it's also hot and very humid. And the stable weather is going to continue for the next few days, despite occasional afternoon thunderstorms. But the ridge will gradually weaken towards the end of the work week, and a prefrontal trough will approach the northern Bahamas by late Friday. Meanwhile, a mid to upper level trough will drive some streaming tropical moisture across the central and southeastern Bahamas. The combination of these features, that's going to elevate rain chances, shower and thunderstorm chances over the weekend, and support cloudier skies. Until then, though, we have to deal with the heat indices and the UV indices, both very high. It's going to feel like it's close to 100 degrees today. And the UV indices are going to mean that you need to wear protective clothing, sunglasses, sunscreen, and the heat. You're going to need to drink plenty of water and take frequent breaks. Wear comfortable clothing as well. So for today, the forecast looks like partly sunny, hot and humid conditions, turning mostly fair and warm tonight. A bit breezy for the southeastern islands. High temperatures around 91 Fahrenheit, 33 Celsius, but again, it's going to feel like it's 99 to 100 degrees Fahrenheit, 38 Celsius. Overnight lows tonight getting down to very warm, 78 Fahrenheit, 25 Celsius. In your extended outlook for tomorrow, Thursday, partly sunny with a few cloudy intervals, becoming mostly fair at night. Pretty much the same for Friday. By Saturday, it's partly cloudy to cloudy, and that's going to hold throughout the weekend with rain chances hovering around 30 to 50%, especially for the northern and northwest storms as well. By Monday, we're mostly cloudy to occasionally overcast with a 40 to 60% chance of widespread showers. Again, the Atlantic hurricane season kicks off on June 1st. That's Sunday. That's your Morning Blend Weather Check. Weather Check also brought to you by Sherwin-Williams Paints. Walls looking a little owl? Well, swing by Sherwin-Williams Paints for a fresh coat of wow. Best customer service and bold colors and bargain prices. They've got it all. Sherwin-Williams, let's roll. Time for another check of your traffic goal. Your first good traffic for today, brought to you by RBC. Reaching your goals happens here. A reminder of the work that's going on off Robinson Road today. So this is twin close, and the Ministry of Works has been asking folks to remove their vehicles if they are blocking the roadway. The work is scheduled to begin today at 9:30 a.m. the next 2 days. If you're unable to remove the vehicles, they will assist with moving them. But you need to see if you can do it yourself, because they're not going to be responsible for any damage that happens to your vehicle if they have to move it. But that's twin close off Robinson Road. Avoid the area if you can. In your real-time traffic right now, Milo Butler Highway looking very busy for you from Fire Trail all the way up to Tonic Williams Darling Highway. That's going to extend northbound into the roundabout with Sports Center Road. So keep that in mind if you're there. Your alternate routes, like Blue Hill Road, also busy for you near St. Vincent and north of Carmichael, and congested near Soldier Road on the way to Independence Drive, the roundabout there. Over on Gladstone Road, a lot more manageable for you. Just north of Munnings Road, you'll see a bit of congestion ahead of you. Over on Prince Charles Drive, it's busy near the intersections, the major intersections on along that route, and especially as you head into Robinson Road. Soldier, north of that intersection on the way to Bernard Wolfen Village, looking a bit busy for you, slow moving there. Eastern Road, manageable, but pockets along the way if you're heading westbound. Those are your main hotspots this morning. That's your Morning Blend traffic alert brought to you by RBC.
Are you ready to elevate your day with a burst of flavor? Look no further than Dunkin', your ultimate destination for everything delicious. From our freshly brewed coffee that is sure to pick you up, to our signature frozen beverages that will cool you down. And don't forget our mouth-watering sandwiches, made to order all day. Dunkin' has it all. And of course, our lineup of fresh donuts, muffins, and more. Dive into a world of yummy flavors at Dunkin' and bring joy to your day. The Bahamas runs on Dunkin'.
It's all fixed. Thank you for coming on such short notice. The kitchen was almost flooded.
Happy to help. No disrespect, but you're writing a check?
Sorry. This was unexpected, so I don't have cash.
Then first pay me.
Awesome. That I can do. So, this bathroom tap needs a washer, and this one
For
over here.
quick transfer with just an email, mobile number, or QR code, use First Pay from CIBC Caribbean. Visit CIBCCaribbean.com/ways to bank.
As a healthcare professional, you dedicate your life to caring for others. But even with the best care, legal challenges can arise. Protect your practice and your peace of mind with medical malpractice insurance from Star General. At Star General, we've partnered with Lloyd's of London to bring you comprehensive professional liability insurance designed specifically for those consulting or practicing privately. Visit our website today so you can focus on what you do best, caring for your patients, while we take care of the rest. Star General, insurance made simple.
Measles is on the rise around the world, and the Bahamas is at risk.
Which makes us very vulnerable as a nation for the possible outbreak of measles cases.
Every Saturday in May from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m., the Ministry of Health and Wellness will host MMR immunization visits in South Beach, Coconut Grove, Fox Hill, and Elizabeth Estates. Clinics in these areas will remain open until 8 p.m. twice per week. Get your child immunized now.
So much work to do. Work.
We're back with Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. Dwight Strachan along with Laverne Gardner in for Chester Robards today. Chester's going to be with us tomorrow. And we've got a lot to talk about this morning as we've been doing so far today. Coming up in a bit, though, we are going to give you the details about the upcoming Primary School Student of the Year Awards. That's set for this weekend, and I get a preview of that today. And later in business, our NIB series, we're talking about occupational health and safety. So that's some big topics coming up. But we continue with what's in the news just for a few more minutes. And we'll get back to those text messages about the U.S. and the student visa program. But the other big story, the Minister of Labor and Public Service, Pia Glover-Roll, slamming the TUC on their decision to boycott this year's Labor Day parade. She's also calling out Obie Ferguson and the TUC on a number of the things they said in their press conference earlier this week. Take a listen to this report from her.
Labor Minister Pia Glover-Roll is slamming the decision by the Trade Union Congress to boycott the Labor Day March on June 6th. She called the move disappointing and claimed union leaders are misleading members. Glover-Roll added the government has prioritized labor issues from day one, emphasizing that 55 industrial agreements have been signed.
The decision by the Trade Union Congress to withdraw from the Labor Day parade and the narrative they've chosen to build around it is disappointing, misleading, and not reflective of the truth that workers in this country deserve. When misinformation is presented as truth, especially by those entrusted to represent working people, we must respond with the facts. So here are the facts. The Davis administration has prioritized labor issues from day one because we believe in the dignity of work and the rights of working people. We've signed over 55 industrial agreements, which is more than any administration in recent history, delivering salary increases and improved benefits for tens of thousands of workers. Many of the agreements we've signed represent reignited negotiations that were long abandoned until the Davis administration came into office.
Glover Roll highlighted several achievements of the Davis administration, noting that union members were less critical of past governments who accomplished less.
We increased wage, not because we were pressured to, but because it was the right thing to do. We launched the first public service salary review in over a decade and rolled out the first public service-wide promotional exercise in over 8 years. We've achieved a lot in 3.5 years, making more progress on many important labor issues during this term than has been seen across successive administrations. So when the leadership of the TUC suggests that this administration is failing workers, I must ask, where was this level of outrage when significantly less was being done in years prior? The truth is, the majority of what the TUC is demanding is already happening, and they know it. They know it because they've been present in the room. They've helped shape the labor legislative reform that's being finalized right now.
The labor minister added, TUC officials have been actively engaged in the reform process and have advised officials on policies. She maintained that the demands of the Memorandum of Understanding are being met. For the Guardian News Network, I'm Shania Roberts.
Okay, so Laverne's getting kind of nasty here. Good from the minister, but there was something from the PLP as well that suggested that the only reason that O.B. Ferguson is now King's Counsel is because of the MOU and that he signed it, which is really petty and really low.
Yeah,
That's really,
making whatever these issues are.
Yeah, that's wow. But we didn't hear that from the minister
at all. I think that they should have taken the tone of the minister. She's presenting the facts. Well, why not?
No, I mean I agree with you.
Party?
I agree with you.
Yeah,
but we notice
okay.
a trend with the statements that come from the party. It's getting increasingly like out of what is this? Out of control.
Right.
But yeah, the minister was very gracious. A wonderful statement there, laying it out the facts very clearly.
Right.
But and if you get a chance, listen to the whole 8-minute video. She talked about some of the things with the MOU that are going to be very difficult to achieve, including saying that you can't force people to unionize, because that was one of the missions, one of the things they wanted the TUC for unions to be almost in every workplace. But the people have to decide that that's what they want. The government can't get involved in that.
Right. And once they decide, they can't, wherever they are, if they decide, then they should not be impeded by their employers if they decided that that's what they want to do.
Right.
But also, I think, we have to go to the genesis of this. At the time, I was appalled. TUC even signed a memorandum of understanding, right? To my mind, I didn't think that was wise. I don't know because I don't know the ins and outs of it. I am sure that there are workers in the country who are unhappy, who are displeased. But I also feel that Labor Day is about workers and that they should be marching. And as they are marching, they're showing their unity, but also voice your displeasure about things that need to change, working conditions that need to improve.
Yeah.
All of those things.
Yeah.
I don't know if sitting out is the answer. I believe that was just whatever is going on behind the scenes. This is now spilling over.
Yeah.
And I believe that Mr. Ferguson may be using his position as the president to send a message of sorts, perhaps to the prime minister. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I will tell you this. I don't think that it should have been signed in the first place.
Well,
but here we are.
Well, on that note, the TUC will tell you they shop this around to all the political parties, including at the government at the time, the governing party at the time, the FNM, and that it was only the PLP who came and with this. So it wasn't about a party per se. It was anybody that was seeking to run in the election, essentially, but only one took the bait. But hey, there's something you said. Boycotting is bizarre. We've seen this before because we know the many years when the TUC and the NCTU, the two at that time, we have a third now, but the two major umbrella unions did not see eye to eye and would do their own marches. They might end at the same place or begin at the same place, but they would go in different directions. If you don't want to march with whomever, do that, right? Why boycott the whole thing?
Why boycott the entire thing?
It's odd, very odd.
And clearly, I was watching news last night. Not all of the union leaders are in agreement with this boycott.
Right. No, the two other
they
umbrellas.
made it clear
that
their members will be marching.
Yeah. The National Congress of Trade Unions and the Bahamas National Alliance Trade Union Congress will both be marching in the Labor Day Parade. Okay, let's get your reaction to all that, folks. Give us a call. The lines are already lit up, so let's just go. Good morning. You're on the air. Good morning. Are you there? Okay. Hi. Yep.
Yes. Good morning to both of you, Dwight. I want to speak to education, but just let me speak to this union thing. I think the people should go and march and just simply call it the Progressive Liberal Party for the weakness in their performance that they have to hide between labor to make their announcements. Call them out for what it is. But Dwight and Laverne, I want you to consider this. If they shop this around to the other organizations, and the other organizations chose not to sign it, why? Because it's now being said a number of things in the agreement could not be achieved. Why would the Progressive Liberal Party sign it, knowing that those things could not be achieved? Isn't that a form of deceit? They should have said to them, these things in here, you know it can't be done. But the Progressive Liberal Party signed it.
I mean,
and agreed.
This is politics, right? There are all kinds of things in the manifestos and blueprints for change that they know they can't do or won't do, but we're deceived every 5 years. So that's par for the course.
But just let me go to education.
For everyone.
Yes, I know you have a lot of people that call and say the FNM and PLP concerning what they didn't do. But the problem is these individuals are told how governance is or where we are. If you take, for instance, right, that we have no program, and I hear Morris and others, we have no program to develop the data resources to help us understand the social and spatial spatial context of the education we have in the Bahamas, meaning what our needs are and everything. When you look at it, right, in the U.S. alone, there's over 10,000 degrees and qualifications. So when you start talking about the Bahamas having their own school or criticizing the University of the Bahamas, it's probably because...
Well, we only have one caller. You think there are other people thinking like that?
Yes, but see, what I'm saying, we have one, but I'm saying there's claim not a... First of all, we have to find out what is it we need today and what is it we need for the future. And then to now claim that we, as a world of our own, will be able to develop all of these various skill sets in one university. That means you'd have to probably have thousands of teachers, and the resources doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
However,
I don't think many sane people are thinking like that, Cialan. We got to go. We're running out of time really quickly.
No, just to say this. This is an opportunity for the Bahamas to consider places like Grand Bahama to become an education destination. So these 100 different top schools from around the world these individuals can attend while not leaving the Bahamas, and invite those 200,000 or 200-something thousand people a year who is denied visa into the U.S. We can you look at this as an opportunity because it's not going to change for the next 4 years.
Okay.
But I can call you back on another show, right? I can explain to you why the social media can't be changed and erased. That's a digital answer.
Yeah. Well, okay. Speaking of that, this text, for a long time there was a saying on social media that it's just social media. This highlights that the world is now formalizing what more responsible individuals already knew. Social media is an extension of ourselves. As you are, your thoughts, your tweets, your posts can no longer live a double life. Wow. Moving forward, we will see this as a requirement for jobs. I do hope our citizens take note. And that's already a requirement for a lot of people, right? Boy. So, I mean, what happens if you give the answer, I don't do social media? Will they accept that? People, no one believes that, hey? Laverne, you think? What do you think?
No,
me?
definitely.
Social media? I live in a cave. Dwight, Laverne, I think this visa thing will affect mostly track, basketball, baseball, tennis athletes that are trying to make the pros. Anybody. Ask a previous caller if they are willing to pay the tuition that they charge for the private colleges. Ask if people are willing to pay those prices that they're charging in the USA, because the Bahamian professors are making 5 figures, but in the U.S., but they will say the college is too expensive. That's true. It's UB is free for most people, for the most part, right? Boy. And it is for a lot of students in the U.S. at state schools, but of course, as Erica said earlier, Erica Morris, the schools make a lot of money off the international students. A lot. Let's get the power and internet service to stay on for at least a month straight before we launch into the hypothetical dream-like Harvard could open a campus online here discussions. I was thinking about that. My sister schooled in Germany 10 years ago. Do you know for international students, schooling is free? Let's encourage our students to look beyond the norms. Wow. Okay.
This is what I'm saying.
That's pretty cool.
There are opportunities out there that we're not taking advantage of because we are conditioned to only think there's the options are only as far as perhaps the U.S. or even Canada.
Yeah. This person says here, what Donald the Great is doing is good for his country. He loves America. Our lousy leaders need to be more like him and love the Bahamas. Now Bahamians would love the Bahamas too. Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay. Wow. We're going to take a break and be back with a whole lot more Morning Blend. Stay with us.
It's a Bahama odds and ends party. We got everything you need to have for a party. Come see for yourself. Balloons and banners, gifts and toppers, forks, plates, toys, chairs. Yes, we do rentals. Located on these plaza right off Crenshaw Drive, and we can order anything for you online. So party smart, party early, party often with Bahama odds and ends party surprise.
Wake up and treat yourself to the breakfast you deserve with Wendy's new French toast sticks platter. 4 pieces of golden, crispy French toast sticks served with warm syrup, fresh cracked eggs, your choice of protein, and orange juice. It's sweet, savory, and everything your morning's been missing. Whether you dip, dunk, or just go all in, you'll never want to go back to your old breakfast routine at Wendy's.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's that time again from the island that gives you minced mutton, okra soup, and of course flour cake and rake and scrape. It's the 26th annual Cat Island Rake and Scrape Festival in beautiful Artistown, Cat Island, June 6th through 8th. We have acts such as Veronica Bishop,
He come here with the hands swinging.
Gino D, Stelito, Cupid, and of course our very own down-home guys like Lacido and the Boys,
I don't like no rigging and scraping in here.
Ophi and the websites, and much more in beautiful Artistown, Cat Island. June 6th through 8th. See you there.
Here's the Sure-winning art store moment from Shelley and Dee Dee.
We're the only full art store in the Bahamas. If we don't have it, we make a list, and trust me, our boss can get that. If you need that, he can get that. You can find sketchbooks, acrylics, the canvases in all sizes, stencils. We have the Angelus that they use on shoes and letters. We're the only persons in Nassau that carries the tanner spray. We have the Krylon sprays, watercolor in paints, the oil, chalk paints, the alcohol paint, metallic chalk, and we have cleaning products for the artists, thinning products for the artists, and Crayola colors, and glitters, pencils, the Posca markers, and pastels, oil, and the acrylic pastels, dyes. Oh yeah, we also have airbrush paint. I didn't forget that part of the movie. Gift sets, hobby craft,
Oil shrimp, stew shrimp, shrimp gumbo. But art supplies. We have a lot of them. Sherwin-Williams Art Store. Find colour in every day.
All those loans I had were so overwhelming. Fidelity's debt consolidation loan combined all my loan payments into one easy payment with a built-in savings plan that pays me unbeatable interest. It's time to make that move to Fidelity. Call 356-7764.
Fidelity, we're good for you.
Now let me see now. 326 EPIC. Hello? This Epic battery. This Miss Beulah from round the corner. I hear you're selling tires now on Wolf Road too.
Praise the Lord. It's about time. I live Fox Hill and Fire Trail. It's too far.
That ain't all day. PM on Sunday and holiday 8 a.m. to 4 p.m.
My brother Sam, he's a hacker and he could go right there and get fixed up.
Call us at 326 Epic. We ship also to the Family Island.
At Cleveland Clinic, care is everything. So when your primary purpose is to care for the world, you'd start with your community until you're accessible anywhere. You make complexities your specialties and put compassion before anything else, all to redefine what's possible for everyone, everywhere, for every care in the world. Cleveland Clinic.
Listen to the bells. Listen to them chime.
We are back with Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. Dwight Strachan, along with Laverne Gardner, and that's in the Bahamas Primary School Student of the Year Awards coming up. And here to tell us all about it, we welcome back the founder of the president and CEO of the Bahamas Primary School Student of the Year Foundation, Ricardo DeVoe. And we have with us from 2002 semifinalist and committee member Tizelle Lightburn. Welcome back. Great to have you with us.
It is a pleasure to be here.
Good morning.
Good morning.
All right. So remind folks what this is. I mean, everybody must know about this.
Well,
right?
This weekend we are celebrating the 29th Bahamas Primary School Student of the Year Awards program. We are just so excited. My team, we have been working very hard. We have 118 students representing all over the Bahamas, 118 with 60.
Is that the biggest group
That's
yet?
not the biggest.
It's not the biggest. Okay, that's still a lot.
Yeah. And we have about 64 from the Family Islands out of the 118. And one of the things that I'm really excited about is that we begin our weekend on Friday at Christ Church Cathedral at 7 p.m. with our medal presentation. All of our nominees will receive their trophies and medals. And then on Saturday morning, we take them to Fusion for a fun day. And then the big day is coming this Saturday at BFM at 4:30. We'll have our 20 Bahamas Primary School Student of the Year Awards program. And we are so excited because this year, first of all of our students will be highlighted tomorrow in The Guardian. Please purchase the supplement will be out in The Guardian tomorrow, Thursday. Please purchase that. And we are also pleased that both ZNS and Cable will air the program live.
Okay,
so at 4:30, beginning on 4:30 on Saturday.
Wow.
But while I'm excited here, I have with me Tizelle Lightburn, who was in the program in 2002, and she was a semi-finalist, and now she's working on our committee.
That is pretty cool. Full circle. Giselle, great to have you with us.
Happy to be here.
Yeah. So let people know what this is like. So you had to be named the primary school student of the year for your school, right? And then you go on to the big competition, basically. But what's the experience like as a primary school student going through this?
So at the time, there were 2 nominees from Gambia Primary School. So it was myself as well as Anwar Sawyer. Anwar is in Germany now with his wife and family. And so it was very exciting to be highlighted as the top achieving student. Application process, it was somewhat rigorous, but it was just compiling everything that I was a part of. And so the different organizations, different clubs, and various groups, and then just hoping for the best. And it was really exciting to be able to meet students from other schools, whether they were here in New Providence or from around the Family Islands. A lot of us still keep in touch today.
Oh, that's wonderful.
We've been able to cross paths in different areas and sectors of life. And so now to be able to contribute as a committee member and be able to look at children now, it's really exciting and very touching. And something that I thought about on the way here is that there are a lot of past students who've gone on to do wonderful things. And so I think eventually an indicator of success will be that they've been nominated and honored as a part of the Primary School Student of the Year Award program.
Indeed. We've been seeing that quite a bit. Laverne, you were...
No, I'm saying absolutely. My niece, I believe it was, she's in 10th grade now. So about 4 years ago in 2021, she was part of it. I think she was in the top 10.
Yeah.
So, and she continues to do well. She represented Lucayan International.
Oh,
School.
yes.
Yeah. Christina Simmons.
Yes.
And she continues to be a high flyer, a top student.
Excellent.
And not just academically.
And our nominees, they are truly the best and brightest in our country. And I think this is their first major platform on a national stage, and it propels them to greatness. I just want the public to know that on this coming Saturday, there are 118 students. We will present $255,000 worth of scholarships. Wow. Every child. When Giselle was in it, she was a semifinalist, but the semifinalists they got trophies. Now every single semifinalist will get $1,000.
That's pretty cool.
So every child on Saturday will leave with a minimum of $1,000 scholarship.
Amazing.
And we thought that we were done. And so we started a technology, what we call a technology award. And so we had 90 students who had laptops, and so the rest didn't.
Right.
So we said, okay, we'll get tablets for those. And then on Thursday of last week, we got a donor with 16 laptops.
That's pretty.
So every child will get a technology award.
Okay. That's beautiful. It's great to hear that the corporate Bahamas is coming aboard.
Dwight, if only we could go back in time.
Oh, man. Right?
Like, can I go back to primary school?
Oh, my goodness. So, Giselle, what are you up to these days? What are you doing?
So recently I started a public health consulting firm called Regal State of Health Consultancy. Additionally, I am the president of the Youth Senate, and so we were sworn in November of 2024, and then my peers elected me as the president of the Youth Senate.
Okay.
Yeah, in February.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
This is a great honor for you to be here this morning then for us. Yeah. All right. So as somebody on the committee, what are you looking at with these students? What are some of the things that are standing out to you?
So something that I am really impressed by is the level of community engagement.
Get a little closer to that mic first. Okay,
sure.
There you go. Mm-hmm.
So something that I'm really impressed by is the level of community engagement with the students. I think that they're obviously doing it because that's something that they want to do. And so whether it's environmental science or civic engagement with churches or any other group, I find that their level of engagement really makes them more a student. They're engaged. And so I think at that age, is really admirable to me, to be honest. I think that the high level of academic excellence is something that I really admire too. I think that education really is the key. And so I'm looking forward to seeing not only how things play out on Saturday, but also I'm looking forward to seeing what sort of leadership we receive in the nation. So
Yeah. You mentioned the community engagement. What I've noticed with the winners, we have the winners on. It's a tradition now,
Yes,
right?
I actually
Every Monday.
after the awards. So Monday, the new winner will be
Right.
here.
And what I've noticed is that the community engagement part, that's not forced. They weren't doing
Yeah,
this.
they genuinely want to
genuinely
do
are
this, and they've
interested
been
in
doing it
this.
for years.
And it's a passion, which is
Yeah.
quite amazing. That's really says a lot about the future for the country.
Let me tell you, Dwight, and why I was so happy when Tizelle joined our committee. When she was a student at Gambia, and we were able to watch these students as they go on to high school and college. Tizelle was an honor student, and she was Miss Philander Smith served in that role.
Wow.
And so, I'm always, so I was happy that she was there so I could bring her along to let persons know this is what the Student of the Year program produces. So she was able to go on and do great things, receive her master's and stuff. So I am always honored to have persons like Tizelle be a part of giving back into our organization.
Yeah. Wow. Good stuff.
Something that I would say, just to piggyback off of that, the Primary School Student of the Year Award program and Mr. DeVoe, they do a wonderful job, not with honoring primary school students, but beyond that. And so he's done a wonderful job with checking in every so often, like, how are you doing now? Okay, I see that you've done this. And then they go back and celebrate you. And then in the awards booklets, they always look for former nominees to just share what they're up to and celebrate them. So
The highlights and the profiles.
Yeah.
It's wonderful stuff. So you're part of this forever.
Yeah.
They just won't forget about you. So what was going through your mind these days leading up to it, if you can take us back all the way to 2002?
There was a lot of nostalgia. And so this past Saturday, we had a showcasing the years since 1997. And so to be able to see my photo and feel like, wow, like, first of all, I didn't like this picture. I wish I could go back. Second of all, just to be able to look through and see some of my sorority sisters, some of my youth senators and youth parliamentarians who also are a part of it, and just be excited to know that a lot of your peers were highlighted and honored, and they've gone on to do wonderful things. And then to be able to look at children who either were just recently nominated or those who are going to be celebrated on Saturday.
Yeah.
And you just feel so hopeful for the future, to be able to see that there's a solid balance between boys and girls who are doing so well in school. So
Wow. So by now the winners have been chosen, right?
Yeah,
That's already done.
the independent panel selected the winner. There are only 4 persons who know who the winners are, so it's under lock and key. And and
it's
really,
like the Oscars. Or something.
really. So the booklets have been in a sealed place.
Wow.
So, and so the booklets aren't released until after the winner is announced on Saturday night.
Right. Wow.
And so then we have that winner sitting in here on Monday, and that's their first tour of duty to speak with Dwight.
Yeah, and we always look forward to it. It is amazing. All right, so come in.
They start arriving on. We had 2 arrive yesterday, but the majority will start to arrive on Friday.
Okay.
Well, all of them will arrive on Friday.
Yeah.
And again, to tell you, our foundation paid for all of them to come in through the sponsorship.
This is amazing. And again, you're going to start. They have a number of events leading up to it, as you mentioned before.
Yes.
Yeah. So this must be a nerve-wracking time for a lot of these students, right?
Yeah. So I think something that I like to contribute is, one, just to enjoy yourself, have fun. Everyone's being celebrated and honored, and also to not feel a way if they don't get the top award. One, because they're being celebrated as the top student at their school, so that's a huge accomplishment
Yeah.
in itself
Already.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So, any advice that you give to the students and the parents, because the parents are on pins and needles too, right?
I spoke to some parents yesterday, and they were like, "Oh, Mr. DeVoe, this is nerve-wracking." I said, "Just be calm. Just remember." But I'm giving advice to some parents that I've never had to sit in that seat. But I just want them to celebrate. We celebrate every child as being a winner. So regardless of, they are all winners come Saturday night. And we just want to congratulate all of them.
All right, so before we go, we've got a couple of interesting text messages here. Well, this one especially. What do you think of this? This person says, might I suggest that you all consider selecting a male and a female student of the year instead of just one person? What do you say to that?
No, because all of our students are very good. And so we are not going to separate. They are all there. And this year, it's interesting. We are almost at a balance of male and females. And so I just believe that we are definitely doing a job in saluting them. I don't think we need to separate them.
Tizelle, you're nodding.
Yeah, and it's for all the top students, right?
Yes.
So there is no discrimination.
No, and
to
we
say,
all,
only female top students
only
already. It's top students.
Yes.
It's Bahamian top students.
In our once you're
So
in
I
our
don't think we
educational
need to
system.
further.
Yeah. Tizelle, you're nodding.
Something else that I wanted to say, just to break it down even further, is that we've had a good combination of not only students from New Providence, but also students from the Family Island. So my initial thought as you were speaking was that you were going to say, oh, we'll have someone from New Providence and then someone from the Family Island. It's been a strong mix.
Yeah.
And I was looking through the list of past winners. You've had students who were celebrated from Andros, Grand Bahama, Eleuthera. Yeah, so even when you break it down from which island they come from, you've had students not only from New Providence, but from across the Family Islands.
Yeah.
So I don't think it needs to be broken down any further.
Yeah. I agree with you. That's from a special texter of ours.
Okay.
But all right, so remind the folks again what's going to be happening leading up to Saturday.
Sure.
Tizelle?
So on Friday, we'll be having the medal presentation at Christ Church Cathedral. On Saturday, we will be having, the kids have a fun day at Fusion Superplex that morning, beginning at 9. And then at 4:30 at the Bahamas Faith Ministries, we'll be having the award ceremony.
And can anybody show up, or is it invitation only? How does that work on Saturday?
Well, on Saturday, we say to the nominees, 8 guests per nominee. Of course, the event, it's open, but we're trying to make sure that the nominees' parents are
every year this gives you a headache, eh?
Because BFM will be full to capacity. And one of the things that we command at this age, that parents support primary school students. But I can tell you, when Tizelle is a part of Alpha Kappa Alpha, I'm part of Alpha Phi Alpha, and we honor our high school males and females, and the level of support
it's still there.
It's outstanding.
Okay. All right. That's good. That's good. I actually was encouraged by the people responding to our earlier discussion about the student visas, because you'd get the impression that we aren't too interested in what happens after high school. But the response has been encouraging, so that's good there as well. And I'm sure stuff like this, what you're doing, helps to encourage that, and that is wonderful stuff.
But we individuals like Tizelle who are former nominees, they will actually participate on Saturday morning because we're taking them to the movies. But prior to the movies, we have a mentorship session with the nominees, where persons like Tizelle and the outgoing student of the year, they will speak with them and give them advice on how it was to transition from primary to high school, and Tizelle will be able to tell them how it was from primary school now to the core.
Excellent. Again, how many students?
118.
118.
Yes.
Wow, wonderful stuff.
Representing 13 islands.
That is very, very cool. Bahamas Primary School Student of the Year Foundation, thank you so much for what you continue to do. Ricardo DeVoe, Tizelle Leiper, nice meeting you. And we look forward to Monday.
Monday morning.
To meet the new Bahamas Primary School Student of the Year right here on Morning Blend. All right. Thank you again.
Thank you.
We're going to break for news and be back with business. This is Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9.
Listen to the bells, listen to them chime. Memories of the golden years of nursery rhymes. The teacher would say, children gather around, listen attentively. We're going to learn some nursery rhymes. You can sing along with me. Here we go. She said, Jack and Jill went up the hill to fetch a pail of water. Jack fell down and broke his crown, and Jill came tumbling after.
Planning for retirement can be overwhelming, but with CFAL, it doesn't have to be. We offer tailor-made individual, group, and pension solutions that take the guesswork out of retirement planning. Or your company, don't leave your future to chance and let the trusted hands of CFAL's experts guide you toward peace of mind and financial stability. Low upfront costs and affordable monthly payments make it easy for you to build wealth so you can live well. Visit us at cfal.com to start on your path toward financial freedom. CFAL, growing wealth for future generations.
BWF Pre-Inventory Warehouse Clearance Sale and Tent Sale, Friday, May 30th and Saturday, May 31st, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. For the best deals you will find, shop BWF for the biggest sale of the season. Great savings, great prices. Up to 50% off Pre-Inventory Warehouse Clearance Sale, Friday, May 30th and Tent Sale, Saturday, May 31st, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Come on in while supplies last. Grab your bargain today. Great deals and awesome savings. Savings include appliances, hand and power tools, generator, compressors, and water pumps, welding supplies, automotive and hardware supplies, lawn and garden supplies, kitchen and outdoor cooking supplies, barbecue grills, household supplies, bedding and bath supplies, Junkanoo and craft supplies, floral decor, and so much more. BWF, we are more than just our name. Number 13 Wilton Street, telephone 394-0004. Check us out on Facebook. We ship to the Family Islands.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, streaming on GuardianTalkRadio.com and the Guardian Radio app, Nassau, Bahamas. Guardian Radio, your station for up-to-the-minute news and intelligent, interactive, and engaging conversations. 96.9 FM. The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of the management and staff of Guardian Radio.
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day.
Welcome to Morning Blend Business on this Wednesday, May 28th, 2025. Welcome back to our Morning Blend listeners. Once again, I'm Dwight Strachan, along with Laverne Gardner on this Wednesday. And this morning, it is time for a monthly series with NIB. Today, we're talking about occupational health and safety and the Occupational Health and Safety Unit. We are very pleased to have with us a full studio. We've got Nurse Kanika Wood, the Assistant Manager of Medical Supplies. What am I reading? Medical appeals. Medical appeals. Okay, I'm sorry there. And Nurse Kristen Johnson, Assistant Manager of the Occupational Health and Safety Unit. You're the nurse case manager. And we have with us via Zoom, we've got Nurse Shaki Miller, the manager representing the Northern Bahamas operations. Right. Got everybody? Okay, welcome. Great to have you all with us.
Thank you.
All right, so let's begin at the very beginning, the Occupational Health and Safety Unit. Tell us exactly what this is all about and what you all are overseeing, what you do there.
Well, the Occupational Health and Safety Unit is a unit that was established by the National Insurance Board to provide the industrial benefit for our workers in the country. The percentages that are taken out of your salary for the industrial benefit includes a medical insurance that we provide and manage through Occupational Health and Safety. Mm-hmm. So if one has an industrial accident, it is funded and managed through Occupational Health and Safety, and our office is located on Carmichael Road.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So let's define that industrial accident. What does that entail exactly? Get a little bit closer to the mic, Nurse Johnson. Mm-hmm.
Sorry about that. We'll use an example. Basically, it's just an accident that occurs or arises in or out of the course of your duty, and let's say a butcher cutting meat for a patron in a food store, and they would have accidentally cut their hand on the machine, etc. Mm-hmm. Or a construction worker who would have, working on a roof or a ladder, suffered a slip and fall off that ladder and would have injured themselves.
Yeah, okay, so again, it has to be on your,
in
the line of...
In or out of the course of their duties.
So me falling down in the supermarket, if I don't work there, that would not count as that. No.
If you don't work there, you're not covered.
Right.
So what happens with the National Insurance Board, we actually have a contract between employees and the employer. Mm-hmm. So we have a B60 form, a B44 form, B72 form. Once the B60 form and the B44 form are completed, these forms are the contracts between NIB and the employer that states that the employee is employed by the employer. Mm-hmm. And that's the contract between NIB and that employer. Mm-hmm. So that guarantees that that claimant gets 100% medical care and medical coverage under the Industrial Act.
Yeah. So how far does this go? I mean, can you claim, well, as a writer, I'm typing, I get a carpal tunnel or something. Can that count?
Case by case basis.
Say that into the mic.
They're really case by case basis, to be honest. Mm-hmm. There are things that we do review. Yes, we do review the official accident report, which is the B44 that comes in. And just based on that and the information gathered, and sometimes even the medical records, make a determination.
Okay. Laverne, you were going to ask something?
I wanted to know how long does this process take if someone is injured on the job? Let's say, well, first of all, I wanted to know, let's say I'm returning for lunch and I'm walking up the stairs and I slip on the steps. Would that be considered an industrial action? An accident, sorry?
So not in the supermarket, but at your workplace, you slip and fall.
Good morning.
Morning.
Okay.
Good morning, Nurse Shaki.
Good morning, Nurse Miller here. Yes, the scenario that Ms. Gardner just presented, that would be considered an industrial accident because we consider access to and egress from. And so that means you're returning from lunch, even though you're returning from lunch, you have to utilize that staircase to get back.
Okay.
And
so
then if something in nature.
Thank you. And if something like that happens, then what would be the process for me? What would I need to do?
Okay, so we always try to encourage claimants to report immediately. So if you had a slip and fall while you're accessing the stairway, tell someone, a co-worker, a manager, the person that you directly report to, tell somebody so that they can make note of what has happened or your version of what has happened, okay? And so what we require is that you report your incident to someone on the premises, whoever the designated person is. Different companies have HR personnel who are responsible for completing these forms. And so you would report to that particular person, give your details as to what happens. And so, like Nurse Wood would have referenced, the first form that they would complete for you if you require services via an emergency room or a clinic, they will complete the B60 form. And so that form is completed in duplicate. And so, not duplicate, triplicate, as a matter of fact, because your employer keeps one. You are sent to the ER or the clinic with a copy, Occupational Health and Safety at the National Insurance Board. And so that B60 is only utilized for 72 hours. That means you can use that once within 72 hours. Afterwards, we need to have the form that is, it's called the B44 form. That's the employer's report of what has happened, an accident that would have taken place on their premises. We need to have that form in afterwards.
Okay. If you are doing surveys for the company and you're out in the field and you are at somebody's house and you slip and you fall or you get injured there, that is considered okay.
Once
okay.
you're within the course of your duty.
Okay.
If it's in your job description and you've been assigned to do it, it's within the course of your duty, and that's considered a work accident.
Yeah, heading to that assignment, that as well.
You were
all of
dispatched.
that. Yeah. Okay. All right. So yeah, tell us a little more about the process. We heard Nurse Miller say some of it, but what else do people need to keep in mind with this? Do you involved? She mentioned that you have to tell somebody at work, but can you ever not involve a doctor, nurse, hospital? Can you say I'm just going to be at home, but I want you to know that this happened to me?
Well, most employers, all employers require that you, after you would have had the industrial accident, if you require medical attention, that is when the medical field would be involved.
Right.
And then you would go to a medical facility with the B60, as Nurse Miller would have said. Once you go with the B60, the B44 must then come into our office so that accident is registered. Once the accident is registered, approval is gained through our managers at our Occupational Health and Safety Department, and then you're at liberty to seek medical attention, further medical attention.
Yeah.
With our process, we have a pre-approval process, and we give medical care at 100% coverage for 40 weeks. The Act and regulations state that care is given for 40 weeks. It's up to 40 weeks, so you don't necessarily have to be off for that amount of time, but you're eligible to get care for.
Right. Break that down for some more about what the employer will be responsible for and what NIB will be responsible for.
If a claimant is hospitalized, if a claimant has to have a surgery, if you have to have medications, also when you see the physician gives you a form called a Med 1. You may be familiar with it. Once you get a sick slip, the Med 1 form is given to you. Your employer gives the Med 1 a twin, which is a Med 4. Both of these forms go in, and you're compensated 66 2/3 of your salary of the insurable wage with that Med 1 and Med 4 form.
Yeah.
And that's up to 40 weeks.
Yeah.
At the end of the 40th week, you go for something what we call a disablement assessment. This disablement assessment is done to see the impact of the injury on your life. Our job as case managers or nurses is to guide your care under the direction of our medical officer, and the care is guided to try and get you back to where you was before your accident.
Okay.
So we want you to be, if not better, the same as you were, close to where you were prior to your accident.
Wow. Okay, so now, based on what you're saying, Nurse Wood, I'm thinking mental health issues. If you have an episode as a result of workload or stress, is that covered in any way? If you are driven to a heart attack or a stroke, what happens there? Is the onus on you proving that this is work stress that caused this, or how would you handle that? Anyone can jump in on that one.
I mean, again, that is on a case-by-case basis. We'll say that much.
Has it happened? Have people come forward and say, this job caused me to nearly die? Mentally?
That would be everyone. I would say so too. We've had cases.
Oh boy.
We've had cases of people who've been attacked or robberies,
Oh.
and they have had post-traumatic stress disorder.
Oh,
And we
wow.
have given treatment for that for 40 weeks or less.
Oh, wow, okay.
So, as Nurse Johnson would have stated, it is you are treated based on a case-by-case
Mhm.
basis, and as any medical treatment is given, it's unique to you. But the benefit is there, and we have a medical officer, Dr. Gertrude Holder, and we have a deputy medical officer, Dr. Valron Grimes. They speak on behalf of the director, Dr. Tammy Francis, and they are there to make decisions to help the Bahamian public to get medical care based under
Wow.
the industrial benefit.
That is excellent. That is
What
excellent.
happens in the case, or does it even impact your claim if you're still within that 40 weeks?
You're kind of muffled, Laverne. I'm not sure what changed.
I don't know. Hello, can you hear me?
It's a little bit better.
What happens if you are no longer with the company? Let's say you resign. You've already started the process, put in the claim. Nothing to do with the injury, but you've resigned from that company that you were working for when you got injured. Does that impact your claim? Does that impact your treatment?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't, because once you've been approved for an industrial accident, like Nurse Wood would have mentioned, you're entitled to that medical care, whether you need it or not, for 40 weeks. And so you may have been injured on one job, and as a result, you resign or you were dismissed. You're still entitled to your medical. Now, it may affect the payment of your IIBs. These are the Med 1 forms. And so once because of course, a Med 4 form has to come from the employer. So if you're no longer employed with that company, of course, you cannot expect that employer to continue to produce Med 4 forms for you. And so what we would require of you is that you would, if you can get a letter, if you resign, like you gave the scenario where you resign, you can get a letter from that employer stating that you would have resigned. And so they would write a letter into us. And of course, we will utilize that. It's something like our B80s when persons are applying for unemployment benefits. And so we can utilize that letter that goes along with your Med 1 form to continue to pay you, okay? Up until a certain period.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. We've got a few questions coming in on our text line, and the phone lines beginning to light up as well. You can call us if you have any questions. 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259. Call us toll free, 242-300-5720. We're talking with Nurse Wood, Nurse Johnson, Nurse Miller with the Occupation Health and Safety Unit with NIB. Let's go to the phone lines. Caller, good morning. You are on. Doing well.
Yes. What I want to know, because
Turn on your radio for us, please. We were hearing a little feedback there.
yes, sir.
Mm-hmm.
How you doing? Morning once again.
Yes.
Yeah, I guess I had an industrial accident twice for this year working in the hotel because I'm working in the engineering department. I just went back to work last week, Saturday. I had a few stitches in my hand. But what I realized for me I get hurt on the job twice. It's the process is so long. It's so frustrated that it's like I pray God that I would not get hurt on the job no more. And a lot of people who I know who get hurt, they some of them get hurt on the job and they don't even report it because the process and everything and all that, and then what you getting back from NHI because they say the employer pays 33% and National Insurance pays 66%. Now when I got hurt the last time, my check take almost a few months to just only collect $78. I mean, and I get hurt on the job, I get my fingers split open. So it's like the benefit and what you getting back, because if you making a certain money every week or every 2 weeks, I think you're supposed to be able. If you get hurt on the man job, it's someone's job, you're supposed to be either get a little more or you're supposed to collect the same amount of pay which you if you was on the job working for the 2 weeks, and it's supposed to collect your money. I mean, and I know a lot of people can call on this. It is frustrating. I pray God not to get hurt on the job no more.
Okay, all right. Let's get them to respond. I knew that she was not going to be in here and not want to talk. But we have the Assistant Manager of Public Relations with NIB, Rutina Basden, with us as well. Good to have you with us.
Thank you for having us.
All right, so he said NHI. You shook your head, of course. This
Right.
is not that.
So I know it's a common misconception, NIB, NHI. So we're two very distinctive statutory entities, right?
Mhm.
So the National Insurance Board provides partial income replacement. That's the first thing I want to stress. It's partial. In no instance can we provide your full salary when you're out of work, whether it's temporary or permanent, for example, at the end of your work life, like say retirement or invalidity. You know, I do empathize with the caller. I won't speak to anything medical related because I don't have those credentials behind me. I'll allow the nurse case managers to address that.
Right.
But the one thing I wanted to point out is when you apply for a benefit, whether it's injury benefit under the industrial benefits branch because you had an accident that arose out of or in the course of your duties, or sickness benefit or maternity, those benefits are based on the contributions paid by you as a result of your insurable. So for example, you may earn $5,000 a month, but you don't pay contributions on that amount. You pay up to the insurable wage. That amount has increased to $35.10 as of July 1st last year.
Mm-hmm.
So what that means is I may make $6,000, right? I'm speaking it, right? But I only pay contributions on the $35.10, not $1 more.
Wow.
Your benefits, say for example, the injury benefit, is paid as a percentage of your insurable wage that you pay contributions on. So you, if you're out of work and you pay contributions monthly or your employer remits it monthly on your behalf, you get that injury benefit at 66 2/3% of the $35.10, not your $6,000 salary.
Wow.
Right?
Mhm.
So you won't get 66 2/3% of $6,000 if you're earning that amount. You'll get it up to whatever it is that you're paying contributions on at a maximum of that ceiling.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's 6 2/3% of that. Now, I did note, and I do empathize with the caller, that sometimes the process can take a little while. We understand that. But I do note that he pointed out finger was split.
Yeah, I think that's what he said.
Something like that. So
Mhm.
I'll allow the nurse case managers to talk to that, to address that as well as their processes.
Yeah.
Caller, I am sorry for any delays that you would have had during the process, but the process has been fine-tuned a lot in recent years. We have increased the amount of case managers that we have in our occupational health and safety department.
Mhm.
At one point, we had about
I think we just lost your mic there. To see if we can get that back up there. Yep. Are we good? Okay, continue.
Okay.
Mhm.
At one point, we had about 5 case managers. That was the complement. The complement is now 7 in the Bahamas, 2 in Grand Bahama. So the complement of case managers has changed. So care, we used to say we had a turnaround time of 5 days. You can get care in 1 day. Once all of your ducks are in a row, meaning your employer has put in the contract, the B44, and that has been approved. If it is completed properly, witness statements, everything attached to it is attached, that accident can be approved almost right away.
Yeah.
Once that comes in, pre-approval is sought out from any medical facility, whether it's public or private, and care is given.
Yeah. So is the onus, or should it be on the employers here to do their part and not to hold back?
Absolutely.
Explain why that keeps happening. What can be done about that?
So from a customer service standpoint, Nurse Wood said something very valuable. We're obviously guided by what the employer puts on that B44 form. So to simplify that, that's the employer's report on an accident that happens at work. So it tells us everything from where the accident happened, what time, who witnessed it, what happened. There's even a bodily diagram, so you can circle he injured his wrist or whatever, right? So it lets NIB know all the details surrounding that industrial accident that happened. I can't speak to how common it is, but it does happen where a form is sent in incomplete because maybe you don't realize the importance of that question. You don't think it's important. Maybe you overlook it just trying to get it in. And that's just not for the B44 form. That's for any form that an employer or a claimant has to submit to NIB. The question is not answered. We have to get back to that claimant or the employer to get this question answered, because that helps us to adjudicate claims, to work them, and to get the necessary benefits, assistance, or whoever requires. Right. That takes a little bit of time too. So we do want to emphasize, when you are sending in these forms, just answer all the questions. They're there for a reason. Sign them, date them where applicable. You do want to stamp the form as the employer. And I also want to mention, by law, it is mandatory that every employer that has 10 or more employees keep an accident logbook on their premises. People don't realize it. But I may have an accident today, and I get back up, and I'm fine. But a couple weeks later, a couple years later, whatever the case may be, I start to have some sort of issues because of that accident. Wow. So you do need to keep that accident log, making note of who or the employee is that it happened to, when, where, who witnessed it, what they may have been doing. If you want more guidance on that, reach out to our inspector department or our occupational health and safety unit. But you do want to keep that accident logbook on premises at all times.
And so the employees need, whether nobody was around or not,
go report
you need to say something. I did hit my head here. I did fall here.
Report it.
Okay. Yeah.
Can I
just piggyback on something that Nurse would have mentioned?
Yes, Nurse Miller.
Ms. Baston said something very valuable, because the onus is on the employers, once an accident is reported, to ensure that that form, that B44 form, comes in a timely manner. We actually have a cutoff point. After 1 month, a B44 is considered late. That doesn't mean that the accident can't be approved, but it does mean that the employer can be fined $500. And so to employers, because we know that behind every B44 form, there's an injured person. And so we want those forms to come in time so that we can provide medical care in a timely manner, because an acute injury is easier to treat than a chronic one. Additionally, as Nurse Wood would have mentioned, we started out with 5. We actually started out with 2 medical case managers for the entire Bahamas.
Oh my goodness!
So I have seen the evolution case management, because I've been here with the board for about 12 years now, and so like I said, we started off with 2 case managers, then we came up to 4, then it came up to 5, and now, like she said, we've got about 8 of us now, 2 in Northern Bahamas and 6 in Nassau, and so care we're able to get out care faster than we used to do in the past. But we really need the employers to work along with us to ensure that those forms come in a timely manner.
Correct.
Yeah. Wow.
We
Okay.
currently we have a high energy, efficient customer service department. It's manned by Mr. Shane Albury. Lots of people know Mr. Shane, the whole manager of the whole Carmichael Road. Everyone looks at Shane as Mr. NIB. So Mr. Albury is the manager of our customer service department, and he's fully staffed, and these guys will get on the phone and call the employer, get those forms in, get those witness reports in, and they're working.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of claimants that will come in and they would say, oh, I was waiting for this, or I was waiting for that. You can come into our Carmichael Road department, our Carmichael Road customer service department. They can help to answer questions that you need answered.
Okay.
The nurse case manager serves as the mediator and the advocate between NIB and the employer.
Correct.
Okay. Excellent. Mm-hmm.
And you know what, even if, you don't want the instance where an employer doesn't want to furnish some document required by them, right? So even as it relates to the Med 1 form for sickness or injury benefit, et cetera, by law, it is now an offense for an employer not to furnish that document. So if we are made aware that the employer does not want to provide that for us in the event that an employee is entitled to sickness benefit, injury benefit, maternity benefit, that's now prosecutable. Yeah. But obviously we don't want to, take it to that level. We just want employers to know that you have to furnish that document to us.
Are you seeing compliance, or are they? How is that looking? Oh boy. Long pauses.
In most instances, and most of the entities that the employees would come in from, they are well versed in the industrial process. the medical facilities that would accept B44s and B60s and any document regarding the industrial benefit, they know that we pay based on what is reasonable and customary. So it's ahead of where we were years ago. So now we're accepted all over the Bahamas, and if the care is not available in the Bahamas, we are also accepted outside as well.
Okay. We've got a lot more calls and a lot of text messages. Let's see how many of these we can get in. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Are you there? Good morning, caller. You're live on the air. Hi, yes. Good morning. Okay, call us back. 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259. Good morning. You're live.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Strachan.
Hi.
And good morning to your guests. This is a very needed conversation for people like me who are up in age. I'm 60, right? I had an industrial accident in the year 2000. And the lady said something that stood out for me in the fact that she's saying a subsequent revelation of an injury. Now, I had went before. I like to say that I was I was handsomely rewarded. I don't know what happened to the gentleman with those little figures, but I got some good money from National Insurance. But the problem was that I think they had made a stipulation where industrial accidents after 10 years, I think, is null and void or whatever, or you will have to write a letter to National Insurance. I don't know which area it is, but you're supposed to write a letter for Now, what happened is this accident happened in the church. I don't know who was cursed, me or the church. But the employer, that's just a little joke there. But the employer, I want to get this thing because I really have to visit them. The employer, for me, right now, looking back at retrospect, I realized that they were negligent in the fact that, well, I was working on Ocean Club Estates running wires, but they took me and they carried me to install this AC. And what happened is if they had really did due diligence on the area that I was working in, this accident would have never happened. But nobody told me that this ceiling was actually sheetrock or whatever. It was bubbles. It looked like concrete, but it actually opened up on me as I was working in the ceiling, connecting the thermostat or whatever. And so I saw daylight, and I came to the ceiling, and I was actually hurt. I was hurt bad. I wouldn't even talk about the cuts and bruises, but I eventually landed on my buttocks. So it jolted my spine and my twist. And so when I went to the doctor, National Insurance had sent me to the doctor, and then they did this X-rays and all that, and then we went before this panel to determine incapacitation, and then they said that he's 10% incapacitated, and but the doctor told me that when I reach a certain age, I would experience this problem of osteoarthritis or whatever. Oh, wow. But it bothers me up to this day, and so I wrote a letter for extended medical benefits. Nothing has happened, and so I was wondering, is there any way for you? Time has passed. Why couldn't I have sued the employer for negligence? Because that's exactly what it was. There was no lighting, and they didn't facilitate anything, and I wasn't warned that this area was unsafe. Just hang up and listen.
Okay. All right.
Okay, Mr. Caller, I am so sorry to hear about your accident. I'm happy that you mentioned everything that would have happened, because he did mention that he got care and he went out for assessment. His assessment was 10%, and that leads me into the disablement assessment. So because his assessment was only 10%, his care couldn't continue beyond the 40th week. If his assessment was greater than 25%, then his care could have continued up to 2 years, which is not something that's mandatory.
Right.
It's something that happens based on the assessment. If it's greater than 25%, you can get care up to 2 years.
What's the max you can get?
Only 2 years.
Oh, okay.
After that time, you would go before multiple boards to get more care if needed.
Okay.
But I'm known for speaking to this term of the industrial benefit and our medical insurance being an interim insurance, meaning this is not major medical insurance. This is nothing that can be sustained over your lifespan. And as he would have been told, his injury would have eventually degenerated or it would have become chronic, which it did. We wouldn't have chronic injuries because of the percentage of NIB that is taken out of your salary. Major medical insurance could cost up to 25% of your salary. The board, the Bahamas, wouldn't be able to sustain giving care to each individual with an industrial accident for their whole lifespan.
Wow.
This is why you are awarded a disablement assessment. And that medical referee at that time of that assessment will determine how your injury has hindered your life.
You said a lot of very powerful things there. People need to keep that in mind. not
And the
major
caller,
medical.
caller also
Nurse Miller?
mentioned yes, the caller also mentioned something about care being up to 10 years. That's incorrect. Like Nurse Wood said, you're entitled to 40 weeks of care. If the DBL assessment comes back at 25% or higher, you can go up to 2 years. You can go beyond 2 years, but you would have to be presented to it before a committee called the Industrial Accident Committee. And this is where we have the medical officer. We've got, acting on behalf of the director, of course, we've got our legal officer. We got persons from Central Benefits, and we have the case manager who will present the case before that committee. And that committee will determine how many years or months they would extend your care. Okay, and so we've had cases where we have had claimants who had sustained industrial accidents. They go up to 4 years or beyond that. It's all determined by whether your care has been approved for continued care over 2 years.
Yeah.
And of course, we want to make mention that if NIB makes a ruling or decision on it disagrees with the decision NIB made, you do have the right by law to appeal. I'll let Nurse Wood speak to the medical appeals process and how that looks. But once we notify you in writing of what NIB's decision is, you have 21 days to write back to us, letting us know you disagree with the decision, you request an appeal hearing, and you are allowed to present whatever evidence you have to support your opinion.
Okay. All right. Tell us about that, Nurse Wood, the appeals process.
So the medical appeals process is facilitated by the medical officer or deputy director of the board. A committee or a panel of medical physicians who are independent of NIB are chosen or selected to chair this committee. Once the claimant is brought in, legal officer from NIB and any legal or medical representation from NIB would come in and state what NIB has done for the claimant. So any claim that the claimant would come in with, if they have a medical injury that NIB has chosen not to cover, they're able to present their case and they're able to present why they feel it should be covered by NIB. It's heard before this board, and the board will determine if NIB has met its obligation to that claimant or if the claimant requires something from NIB.
Wow.
But that medical panel is totally independent of NIB, and they are allowed to make that decision and tell NIB what is required of them.
Wow. Okay.
So there are checks and balances to this, right?
Definitely.
Yeah.
All right, we got only a couple minutes left, and we've got a few messages here. Let's see how quickly we can get through these. This person says, I've been submitting the required contribution forms and payment confirmations to this email address, contributions@nib-bahamas.com. But I consistently request a confirmation of receipt. However, I never get a response. Is this the correct email address for such submissions? If not, which is the right one? Is that right?
It sounds familiar. I will double check because I don't have all, the email addresses memorized. If I could get that contact for that person, I will look into it and respond.
Yeah. As an employer, I'd like to know whether online access is now fully available, is it still in the beta testing phase?
Online access, meaning online services.
For the app?
So we do have certain services that are available through our website through certain applications. So you can renew your NIB card through our Easy Renew application. Of course, that's for select category of users, but we do have a FAQ sheet for commonly asked questions, and it's very easy to maneuver through. Of course, you can also reach out to our customer service department. We do have the employer self-service portal, ideally for our larger employers so that they can submit their contribution statements, they can make payment through that portal, manage their employee roster. What does that mean? Add new employees, remove them if they resign or they leave for whatever reason. We have the mobile app, the C10 mobile app that does the same thing as the ESS portal, but that's for employers with 10 or fewer employees and self-employed persons. It does the same thing. You pay your contributions, you submit the contribution statement, you make payment through that app. There's no third-party person who has to post this information or anything like that. You take control of that. And then, of course, our registrant self-service portal where you can monitor your contributions yourself anytime, anywhere. And we want to tell persons, monitor your contributions. Don't wait till it's time to make up. It's not there. Come and tell us if anything is missing or incorrect So when you do make application for a benefit of any sort, we're ready to calculate that and go.
Those apps are available. It's the RSS app and then the ESS app. And our website is www.nib-bahamas.com. More information can be found on the website, and both of the apps are live.
Yeah. This text sounds like something we should have asked at the beginning of the show. Oh boy. If you are self-employed and you get injured, what do you do? What happens there?
The self-employed process is a bit different.
Yeah.
Because the self-employed person is not allowed to use a B60. That particular accident requires approval, and that particular accident is the accident that requires contribution status review.
So what that means is, unlike an employee, it doesn't matter if my employer is not up to date with my contributions because I don't pay that myself.
Right.
The onus is on the self-employed person to stay up to date with their contribution, forfeit their right to any industrial benefits or services that NIB provides. Specifically, you want to make sure you are not more than 60 days in arrears, i.e. 2 months. So stay well within that 2-month grace period of being in arrears. So you want to make sure your contributions are up to date. So that is one stipulation, tongue tie, that they want to make sure that they're keeping in mind at all times.
Yeah.
And you cannot make the contributions up to date after the accident because all of those dates are reviewed.
Wow. I think this texter, we basically talked about this already, but they're saying something happens, you take sick leave, but event to an amputation or something like that. They're talking about the benefits there. But if the injury happened years ago and later it leads to something catastrophic like that, do your benefits increase after the amputation, or is there an adjustment? Is there a change after that point?
The acuteness and the chronicity all have to be taken into consideration. We have a lot of claimants in the Bahamas who would have what we call chronic illnesses. So if your chronic illnesses or your comorbidity has to be taken into consideration when you go in for a disablement assessment. So if you're a diabetic per se and you cut your toe at work, we give acute. If you haven't been taking care of your diabetes and your toe is cut off, it may lead to something that's now chronic. You may have a chronic foot disease at that point. The industrial accident, or is that because of your non-compliance? So all of that is to be taken into consideration, and all of that is reviewed. That is why we have a medical officer who is an actual family medicine physician. She's a doctor, and she reviews all cases that are complex, and as Nurse Johnson states, all cases...
Case-by-case basis.
Yeah. They're seen at a case-by-case basis.
Yeah. Wow.
And additionally, one more thing, please. Additionally, once your DBL would have been final at a certain percentage, you don't get to go back and say, oh, I've lost, unfortunately, a limb due to XYZ as a result of this industrial accident. And so once it's final, it's final.
Right. Unless, of course, that claim
So if you, unless you are trying to appeal, but if you didn't appeal that process within a stipulated time frame, and say, for example, you got a final percentage of 20%. You didn't appeal it within 21 days or even beyond the 21 days, because sometimes we give a grace period, and you find 2 years later as a result of this industrial accident, you cannot return now to the board trying to get that percentage changed to something higher or different.
Okay. All right. The Stashers, thank you. I think they're thanking you for letting people know about the medical appeals process. They had no idea this was a thing. So thank you for that. Ladies, thank you for being with us this morning. This is great education for everybody, I'm sure. Nurse Kanika Wood, Nurse Kristen Johnson, Nurse Ashaki Miller, and Rudina Basden. Thank you so much for being with us this morning. And we'll see you next month.
Absolutely.
Here on Morning Blood Business. Laverne Gardner, thank you so much for being here on a Wednesday. I'll see you next week. Next week, Thursday. Everybody have a great day. Be sure to pick up today's Nassau Guardian for the Guardian Business section for the latest in business news of the country. This portion of the show brought to you by CFAL, growing wealth for future generations. 1 o'clock with Aaron Green, plus live coverage of the budget communication. Prime Minister Davis in the House of Assembly this morning. All of that right here on Guardian Radio. Have a great day, everybody.
already tried our President Butter? Ooh la la. Indulge a little with President, because now more than ever, we need to savor the taste, textures, and feelings to truly enjoy the little things that mean the most. President Butter, something to savor.
At CFAL, we understand that a secure future is the greatest gift you can give your employees. That's why our tailor-made group pension solutions are designed to fit the needs of both large and small companies. With CFAL, you can provide the retirement you and your employees deserve, ensuring peace of mind and financial stability for years to come. Join the many businesses that have already entrusted CFAL to create the right pension plan for their employees, and let us help you build a brighter future for your team. Visit us at cfal.com to get started on building wealth so you can live well. CFAL, growing your generations.
Did you know you could send a local bank transfer to a Sand Dollar wallet? It's the same as sending a transfer to an account at another local bank. Simply use the wallet's 12-digit top-up address as the account number, savings as the account type, Central Bank of the Bahamas as the bank, and Sand Dollar as the branch with branch code or transit number 12,000. Don't use urgent or priority delivery. Transfers to Sand Dollar wallets are processed through the Bahamas Automated